Good morning and welcome to a sunny edition here of the Mustang Game Day Show presented by Origin Bank. I am Rich Phillips here in the press box at Gerald J. Ford Stadium. We're getting ready for the home finale, senior day for the SMU Mustangs as they take on the Louisville Cardinals. That'll be an 11 a.m. kick today here at Ford Stadium. You can hear us on the radio broadcast beginning at 10:30 with our pregame show and the kick at 11 on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, as well as the SMU app and SiriusXM channel 193. And I say we because, of course, part of our broadcast crew right here is Scott Garner, who joins me across the table as we get ready for the home finale and a critical one for SMU with 2 games to go and still a chance to get into a conference championship game once again.
No doubt, SMU's got everything it needs right in front of them. They just need to win out. Got to win today against a Louisville team that's coming off a couple of tough losses, and then you have to go on the road on Thanksgiving week at Cal, and Cal's come up with some huge wins this year. That's going to be a tougher game than I think a lot of people realize, but if you win out and get some help, you're back in the ACC title game.
All I know is we're talking about it again here in November.
I know, right?
Becoming a habit.
Yeah, third time, I believe. Third time in 3 years?
Yes, sir. SMU is at 7-3, 5-1 in the ACC after a 45-13 win at Boston College 2 weeks ago. Just a couple of quick notes on that. Another great day for Kevin Jennings, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns. Do you realize that's the first time he's gone 300 yards in back-to-back games here in his 2 seasons as a starter?
It is hard to believe that, but, the run game kind of makes up for a lot of it. But that run game hasn't been quite as strong for the Mustangs. But, those are some great numbers.
And then Ymir Knight with a breakout game, 7 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Ymir really is becoming a major factor right now as that slot receiver for Jennings.
Yeah, he caught pretty much every throw against Boston College, even the hard throws. Made a contested catch on the out pattern looking into the sun. I thought that was maybe his best catch of the day up there in the Northeast, but he ran great routes, rarely tackled on the first attempt. That's what you love about him. Kind of got blown up, too, after he made a tough catch, still hung on to the ball. He's showing great hands. He's showing great ability to run after the catch, and he is showing the ability to hang on and play with some toughness. He had, 61, I believe, yards after catches against Boston College. He was really good.
By the way, Rhett Lashley will say more about that toughness here in a few moments on our Rhett to the Point segment.
Good.
So, here's the situation with 2 games left in the regular season. Georgia Tech only has one more conference game. They're 6-1. Virginia, likewise, only one more league game at 6-1. Pitt's 5-1. SMU is 5-1. So all 4 teams right there in the thick of things for the conference championship game. And as we touched on right there off the top, 3rd straight year that we're talking about this. 2 years ago in the American, SMU, of course, went on and won the league. Last year, went to the ACC championship game. That's kind of part of the culture here now, I think, for Rhett Lashley and his Mustangs.
It is, no doubt. It's the expectation. And I can remember a time not too long ago where we were sort of had the target of getting 6 wins just so we could get bowl eligible. We don't even talk about that anymore.
No.
And now it's competing nationally. And this SMU team getting votes now. Both Louisville and SMU are getting votes. Louisville, they were 20th in the country before they lost last week. So these are 2 teams that are very prominent. When you watch Louisville on tape, this is going to be a tough team today. Not certain about their personnel. Might be a little bit different in terms of their personnel, which could shape things a little bit differently. But certainly a game that you have to win today. Got to play good football today.
Yeah, everybody keeps asking, all right, what are the scenarios to get to Charlotte? Well, It all starts with winning 2 games. I mean, I think mathematically – they could lose one of these 2 and still get in, but, they would have to part the seas, I think.
The planets would have to align and all that stuff,
so they got to start by winning the last 2 games, today against Louisville, next week at Cal. The game that I think matters the most, I know the game that matters the most today, with trying to get there, is at 6 o'clock tonight. Pitt plays at 16th ranked Georgia Tech. A Georgia Tech loss would be huge for SMU. And if SMU winds up tied with Pitt at the end, they have the tiebreaker already based off record of conference common opponents. And so we got to root for Pitt here tonight over Georgia Tech.
That's a 6 o'clock kick, I do believe.
Yes.
And it's so important that they've decided to put it on national television. I believe it's on the big ESPN tonight, just like all those big games are. But it's when you look at that game and you look at the chances of Virginia Tech next week beating Virginia, I think you're right about that. I think Pitt has a greater chance of upending Georgia Tech than Virginia Tech does of beating Virginia, no question about it. So we'll see how that goes. But They got Haynes King, and we'll talk about this more later.
We will.
King's a winner. This is a guy that won the state title with his dad in 2017 at Longview, and he doesn't look that great when you watch him. He's not something that'll pop out off the screen, but he just knows how to win.
The thing, too, in the conference race, if SMU winds up at a three-way tie, there's a lot of convoluted tiebreakers there, but a lot of them are going to go against SMU, I know, having seen some of those. And so next week, Pitt will host Miami, so that would be a good loss, too, by the way, just to clear Pitt a little more out of the way. And then you mentioned Virginia and Virginia Tech, and I know Virginia Tech's down, but it is a rivalry game.
It is.
Last chance for them with their interim coach, Philip Montgomery, so anything could happen. But, again, 2 wins, 2-0. That's what SMU needs to do.
People
right
talk
now.
about how James Franklin may give him a boost in that game.
He's not coaching.
I know.
How does that give you a boost?
I don't know. That's what I keep
The guy
hearing.
just got fired. How does that give you a boost? At any rate, let's.
You're always bringing up good points, Rich.
I know.
Good points.
That's what I'm here for. Somebody has to on this show, right? SMU does need to go 2-0 in these last two, and it starts today against Louisville. The Cardinals come in with the same overall record as SMU at 7-3, but they're only 4-3 in their conference games. They've lost their last two. This is really odd. They're 4-3 at home and they're 3-0 on the road. Who does that?
I know. It's really odd, and man, they absolutely should have won last. I cannot believe they lost that game last week, and it came down to kicking.
Yeah, they lost to Clemson last week. They missed an extra point. They missed 2 field goals with 2 different kickers, including one that could have won the game in the last 2 minutes when Clemson had done everything they could to give them the game. And worse yet, they're in a bad way today. Louisville had already been without Isaac Brown for 2 weeks. He's out still. I believe he's done for the season. Their number 2 running back, who's really good, Kewan Brown, also out with injury today. Those 2 guys have combined to run for 1,374 yards. The rest of the team, Scott, has 191 yards on the ground this season.
I know, and it's weird to see them lose Kewan Brown. He's been so good the last 2 weeks, running for over 130 yards. Thought he was fantastic last week, but they've got Duke Watson. But Watson had a bad fumble last week in that Clemson game, and I think he's going to be their number 1 running back today. He ran for 11 times, 39 yards, but performed better than Isaac Brown in the preseason. That's how good they think he can be. He just doesn't have the reps. I hope he doesn't decide to turn it on today.
And they have no depth behind him. The next 2 guys they have that I was told to look out for have really hardly played. And then there's their quarterback, Miller Moss. Reports are that he hurt his foot in the weight room this week, may have dropped a weight on his foot. He showed up on the injury report Thursday as questionable, still listed this morning as questionable. He's thrown for over 2,300 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's also run for a team-high 8 touchdowns. And if he doesn't start, they're probably going to be going with a redshirt freshman Deuce Adams as their starter here today.
How about that? This Deuce Adams, a guy that's from Austin. He's only thrown 4 balls this year for his career, in fact.
Do you know who he played in front of in high school at Vandergrift High School?
No.
Drew Mestermaker, the North Texas
quarterback.
Yeah.
How about that?
The Mestermaker never started a varsity game.
Played in front
of
him.
Correct. He was the starter there at Vandergrift High School.
Interesting. Mestermaker's had quite a year. They like this guy Adams, but I don't know that you can come into this game today with the way that this defensive front for the Mustangs is playing and expect for him to perform and come up with a W. That's going to be a tall ask for him. We'll see. It'll be a huge benefit for the Mustangs to not see Miller Moss taking snaps, though.
And so the game kicks off at 11 o'clock here at Ford Stadium. The regular season, the home finale, I should say, for SMU, and upwards of 30 seniors will be honored in a pregame ceremony. And how about the fact that 5 of them have actually been here their entire college careers. 10 have been here for 3 or more years. I don't think there's a lot of schools that could say that in this day and age of the portal.
No, and maybe the most prominent is the guy that we are going to feature on our In the Film Room segment today. And I just think Isaiah Smith is playing his best football. And boy, what a job he did in coming up with those 4 sacks, tying a program record 4 sacks in a game. He needs 1 more sack to tie the program record for sacks in a career. That would put him at, 23.5 sacks for his career?
Yep.
And I suspect if they don't, particularly if they don't have Miller Moss in their quarterback, I think Smith gets at least 1 today.
By the way, I did just check the availability report. Miller Moss still listed as a game-time decision.
Okay.
But good news, Cameron Robertson, the SMU defensive end, is not on the injury report as of this morning because he's missed, 3 or 4 consecutive games here now.
Right.
With the stinger that he's had. He's missed the last 3 games, so that'll be a big addition. to the SMU defense today. It's SMU in Louisville at 11 o'clock this morning here at Ford Stadium. Now, we are at home, but next week SMU's got to go back on the road to Cal. And moving a football team around the country, it ain't easy. Let's learn more about what the equipment crew does here for the SMU Mustangs.
Hey guys, Joshua Nash, Senior Director of Football Operations here at SMU. Excited to give you guys kind of a behind the scenes look on what it takes to travel the SMU football team. There's so much that goes into this. We have an incredible staff, and there are so many different people that are involved in this. We really do care about this being a first-class experience for everybody involved. It really does start Wednesday afternoon. Our equipment guys loaded up the truck, and they're on their way to Winston-Salem.
Hey y'all, I'm Sawyer Blackman, Assistant Football Equipment Manager for SMU, and we're loading the truck today. You start off, you get a lot of your stuff like your rain trunk, you get your chairs, you get all your trainers' coolers, you get the fans, and those normally take up the back.
We have extra helmets and stuff like that. We have coolers and Powerade and video equipment for halftime, and nutrition has all their snacks, and I mean, anything you can think of goes on that truck. If you love the game Tetris, you would probably be good at being an equipment manager.
We have a great crew of students. They help out here and there all day. It normally takes us 3 or 4 hours. A lot of this stuff can't go on the plane because it's so heavy. Everybody has their own personal bags. They have other bags that go into the plane and all different stuff. So for away games, now that we're in the ACC, our truck normally leaves Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So we can at least get it to our site by Friday morning so we can start unloading and setting up the locker room there. But a lot of these trunks are huge. We can't get it on a bus, can't get it on a plane, so it goes with our guy Larry, and we'll meet him there.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We got you.
All right, so going to Greensboro, North Carolina on the 24th, return on the 25th.
Hannah goes a day early, so she's like our boots on the ground. Really just kind of the last little planning before the team gets there, so that when the team gets there, they can just chill and relax and get ready to play.
Good, thank you.
So when I arrive to the FBO with the rentals, whose number would you guys like me to call?
Me.
You? Okay. George, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to take off at 1:32. Now it's at 5 o'clock in a different terminal. I got Chick-fil-A, so I'm kind of feeling good.
We have Sawyer and Matt, they usually go early, and they start unloading the truck before the team even gets there. We have stuff on the back end of the truck that needs to come off first at the hotel. So the truck doesn't even go to the stadium first, it goes to the hotel. We take off nutrition stuff, any Powerade or water we pack for the hotel, and then the truck goes to the stadium.
When Hannah's there at the hotel, you know, we may need some tables for check-in, or we may need a couple more waters in the meal room. She'll pick up rental cars.
We're going to Walmart right now. We have the coaches' snacks that we have before the game, hot dogs. And we also have drinks, energy drinks. Usually we do this yesterday, but our flight got delayed by 4 hours. So usually this be the night before. Same with unloading the truck.
Setting up is basically an all-day process. I mean, they start at 9 in the morning usually, and they're usually at a standstill waiting for us to get there at 4 o'clock.
Friday morning, the team buses over to the charter pad at American, and our crew over there, they do an incredible job. We want to be efficient when we get to the cities. We don't like sitting around for too long. So with our guys, when we get into the hotel, they kind of know the flow and where everything's at. We have, I think, the best dinner in America on Friday nights. We have 3 or 4 video games going. Guys are playing cards, you know, playing games. Our guys get there and they can just chill and relax and get ready to play.
After Friday setup, we usually get there about 6 hours before game time. Obviously taking the field stuff off the truck into the field, setting up chairs if we need to on the sideline, setting up our coach player system. The trainers set up their stuff. We'll do last-minute stuff in the locker room, get footballs ready, stuff like that. Just a whole bunch of variables that go into a Saturday morning. During the game, we're passing out coaches' headsets. We're holding up personnel boards, and we get the footballs ready. We run pregame to make sure that goes well, making sure coaches have expos to write on the boards that they're writing on. I mean, we're all over the place.
And then when the game ends, that's when my job kind of starts. I'll start working with Frank and his crew, making sure that we have everything that we need.
We all split up, and we all are pushing trunks and putting stuff in hampers and loading the truck, trying to get out as quickly as possible so when the team's ready, the truck's also ready to go. I would say an hour and a half from clocks hitting 0 to us rolling out with the buses, hour and a half tops.
Great stuff there on the SMU equipment staff, and literally all of us couldn't do our jobs without those guys when it goes on the road. And, oh, by the way, they'll be busy here today during the game, even for a home game, but love to see great stuff that those guys do. This is Mustang Game Day. I'm Rich Phillips here in the press box at Gerald J. Ford Stadium, getting ready for SMU and Louisville later on today with an 11 a.m. kick here at Ford Stadium. Time now on the show for Rhett to the Point. We'll hear some clips from SMU head coach Rhett Lashley earlier this week at his weekly press conference. We talked about the big numbers for Ymir Knight last week. Scott talked about the toughness of Ymir Knight that we have seen of late in the slot, and Rhett Lashley agrees and tells us the same thing.
He's super tough. I mean, you can't be a punt returner unless you're really tough. And he's really good in space with the ball in his hands and super quick. Like, he's as quick as any guys we've had here in that slot. And so whether it's getting open on the route or obviously after he has the ball in his hands, he's really, really electric. And so, you know, we got a lot of guys. We don't force feed the ball anywhere. We've got the Jordan Hudson's now healthy, and Ymir and RJ and Hibner and Romello and Jalen Cooper, and I could go on, all the freshmen, and then we got all the running backs and McFall. So, I mean, we design plays to get guys the ball doing what they do well, and we try to play to their strengths. But some games it just finds you 9 times, and some games it finds you 3. But to your point, even the game before, he only had a couple catches, and one was a touchdown. He's just a productive guy, and I think, like I said, instinctually, he's as good of a football player as we have. Hopefully he'll continue to play great this year, but he's a guy next year who could have a really special year in terms of just catches and those kind of things.
Yeah, he won't be a senior until next year. There are upwards of 30 seniors that will be honored before today's game against Louisville here at Ford Stadium, and Rhett Lashley says it's always a hard day to have senior day.
But I always struggle when we're right after warm-ups and then they're all coming out, and you see it's kind of when it becomes real for me is when this year I'll see an Isaiah Wacobia run at me, or a R.J. Maryland, or an Ahmad Moses, or a Stone Eby, et cetera, guys that have been here since their high school days. Or you'll see a Matt Hibner or a Cam Robertson and others, guys that transferred here but have really blossomed and done well. But then you got to kind of recalibrate because the season's not over. Shoot, the day's just beginning. So, look, it's in high school and college – senior days are always special moments as a player. And so our guys are going to want to go out the right way, but candidly, once the game starts, they'd want to go out the right way either way.
SMU and Louisville here this afternoon, actually this morning with an 11 a.m. kick at Ford Stadium. And the Cardinals, they've got an offensive-minded coach in Jeff Brom, but kind of like SMU with an offensive-minded coach, Rhett Lashley, they've turned into having a really good defense as well.
What they do really well is they don't give up a lot of explosive plays. They're number one against the pass. Can't be explosive on them. They really do a nice job, zone, man, mixing up the coverages, but like I said, just not letting you be explosive. And they stop the run. I mean, they're one of the best in the league and in the country, barely over 100 yards a game. So they have good balance on defense in terms they don't let you throw the ball, they don't let you run the ball. They're elite on third downs. They get off the field on third downs. And so when you do that, I mean, that's kind of the recipe. You stop the run. You don't give up explosives. You get off the field on third down. They are really good at getting after the quarterback. They got a bunch of transfers on the front this year that they're one of the top in the country. I don't know what they are now, but 2 weeks ago they were top 5 at quickest to the quarterback and pressure rates. They're blitzing a lot more this year, which is helping generate more pressure. And so they create a lot of havoc. And, You may get them for a play or two, but it's hard to really sustain drives and sustain scoring. I mean, there's a reason they've not given up over 30 points all year.
That is Rhett to the Point, SMU head coach Rhett Lashley. It is brought to you by Origin Bank. Origin Bank knows what strong teams can accomplish. By working together, Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at origin.bank, member FDIC. Third member of our crew is also the third member of our radio broadcast crew, Steve Lansdale, joining me here with his view from the sideline. He is ready for the sideline, ball cap and all. He's ready to go here as we face into the blazing sun at Ford Stadium.
Well, yeah, I mean, these morning games, the show we do, we are staring straight into the sun. We've got some shades up here, but there's only so much you can do.
All right, the view from the sideline here today is SMU and Louisville, and there's always the rest versus rust argument when it comes to things like bye weeks, and I know this. Rest was 100% what this team needed, and they're not worried about any rust.
Absolutely. Rhett Lashley's been talking for weeks about how the Mustangs have just gotten through playing 6 Power 5 games in a row for the first time in 40 years or something like that. Every team in the country has got bumps and bruises all over its roster at this time of year, and certainly SMU is no exception to that. And it feels like there have been more this year than in years past. It's easy to start that list with Kevin Jennings, who started limping a little bit or hobbling a little bit in the Baylor game, and it seems like every week he gets banged up again, but he's not the only one. We've seen Cam Robertson in and out of the lineup. We've seen Marcellus Barnes. We've seen Isaiah Wacobia. This week, yes, you try to fine-tune some things and sharpen up fundamentals again when you have the week off as you get ready to play Louisville today. But, one of the big cliches in sports is the biggest ability is availability. And if the Mustangs can get all or even most of those guys back and get them back at close to 100%, that could drastically change the outlook for today and next week at Cal, and who knows how many games after that.
Yeah, I know last week they were about to run out of defensive backs on this
team.
Yeah,
exactly.
They were really thin back there in the secondary, but some guys stepped up and played great. All right, here they see the Louisville Cardinals today. They got one stud wide receiver that the Mustangs have got to figure out. That's Chris Bell.
Boy, do they. Chris Bell is one of the finest wide receivers in the country, and he has everything. He has size. He has speed. He runs terrific routes. He's got great hands. He has 30% of Louisville's receptions and 36% of all of Louisville's receiving yards. To say he's the guy is an understatement. And as you said a few moments ago, Rich, if Louisville is missing its top 2 running backs, they may take to the air even more than they normally do. And if they go to the air, Chris Bell is target number 1. So how do Scott Simons and Ricky Hundley, the passing game coordinator, draw this up? Do you leave one guy on him all day long? Do you mix and match different guys? Do you slide a safety over to sort of help double team him in certain situations? I think the answer is going to be a little of all of those, because if you can silence that Bell, for lack of a better expression.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You can take a little gas out of the Louisville engine, and hopefully that'll certainly play into the Mustangs' favor.
Yeah, Bell is 12th in the NCAA, by the way, in receiving yards, second in the
He's
ACC.
A stud. He's an absolute stud.
And they got Colin Lacey, too, that plays on the other
Who's
side.
Who's very
from him.
good,
yeah.
But Bell's the guy.
Lacey is more dangerous probably as their punt returner, which will
Yes.
certainly be a factor today for SMU. There are way too many scenarios to count and to figure out for how SMU can get back to Charlotte and play in the ACC championship game. We know what the simplest part of the equation is, though, Steve, and that is?
Win. Yeah. Rhett Lashley and his staff do a very good job of helping their team not look ahead and focus on the task at hand and phrase it however you want to phrase it. And I think the Mustangs really benefit from 2 things. 1, Georgia Tech doesn't play till tonight, and 2, Virginia is off today. So the Mustangs cannot be looking up at the scoreboard trying to get updates on how the Yellow Jackets and the Cavaliers are doing. But they're human beings, and they are aware. You got to think that some of these guys, they all know the standings and the situations to get to Charlotte. Rhett Lashley always talks about wanting to play meaningful games in November. Well, the Mustangs are playing meaningful games in November. To your point, though, you got to win today. Cannot be thinking about what Virginia's going to do next week. Cannot be thinking about what Georgia Tech's going to do tonight. If they start to daydream too much about whether or not they get back to Charlotte, they may stub their toe today.
All right. we'll see what happens here this afternoon. That's View from the Sideline with our sideline reporter, Steve Lansdale. He'll be back here in a few moments when we also pick some games here on the Mustang Game Day Show, getting you ready for SMU in Louisville. 2 weeks ago was the last time we saw the Mustangs play, and they had a really good afternoon up in Boston against Boston College. And let's review some of that in the film room here with Scott Garner.
And it is time to take a dive into the film room as we take a look back at the game at Boston College 2 weeks ago with SMU coming up with a big win on the road against the Eagles. And when you think of this game, you think of Isaiah Smith, the defensive end who had a career day. How about 4 sacks for the defensive end Smith, who starts out right here? Let's take a look at him. This is early in the game, and his first sack of the game, and gets Grayson James and hog-ties him, pulls him to the deck. And you watch what he does here and almost kind of baits James. Most of the time, you don't like an end to just run straight up field, because what it does is it creates this running lane for the quarterback who could take off. But it's almost like Isaiah was setting him up. James takes off, and there comes out of nowhere Isaiah Smith. Watch the athleticism, too, from Smith here as he goes over not one, but scrapes over the top of 2. Now, they're going to run a twist right here on the backside. But watch this play. Watch how Isaiah starts running upfield and then scrapes over the top of not 1, but 2. That was just a fantastic play. That's hard to do. It takes some athleticism. Starts off with the C-gap and then scrapes over 1, and then a second. That was actually the defensive end, Ja'Kai Lang, as they did run a twist. And Smith meets up at the quarterback. Really nice play there to come up with a sack with Jeffrey Imba. And how about this play where Smith actually drops back in coverage? Ends up covering. He's right here in coverage, and he's got to make a decision at this point. Do I stay with my guy, or do I rally up to try to make a play behind the line of scrimmage? And he decides to go ahead and put his foot on the accelerator, and bam, down goes James. But you watch this play again, and I love how great teams play great team defense. So Isaiah's in coverage right here. But let's watch number 10, Tyron Polley, the freshman, who I thought made a great play here. He had a tremendous game himself. But at this point, when Polley sees that Isaiah comes off the wide receiver and decides to take off at the quarterback, Polley makes him right, rotates over, and forces the quarterback, James, to take off and run. He had no chance to throw that football. Ordinarily, you see a guy come off and the quarterback would throw it to the wide receiver, but great rotation here by Polley, and makes that play, allows Isaiah Smith to come up as the hero again. Let's watch this, though. One of a number of plays that he did well, but you'll see Isaiah start right here, and watch what he does. Makes the tackle short of the line to gain. What a great job. And how about looking at this Louisville game? Big game coming up today. Louisville does something that a lot of teams don't do. They run a lot of I formation and some old school ground and pound. No doubt about it. Let's watch this. You've got a fullback behind the quarterback and a tailback behind the fullback. Most teams don't do that these days. They certainly don't go under center with their quarterback, but Louisville does. And we're going to watch 3 plays in succession. These are plays that happened on the same drive to start the second quarter. A handoff to the running back. This is Kewan Brown. He's not the best running back they have. In fact, he's the second best. But all he's done the last 2 games is run for over 130 yards. He averaged 9 yards per carry in this game against Clemson. But I want you to watch the left guard here, who does a really good job of coming up, working to the second level. Nice seal. This block actually is missed. But watch Brown run through what we call the gauntlet. He runs through the gauntlet, through that arm tackle. You've seen that device where in practice they've got the rubber arms on both sides and running backs have to kind of run through there and use force. That's what he did right there. And it's the play action off of this that causes the safety to be a little bit late. Ordinarily, the safety will be here to form up the running back. But due to the fact that Louisville's so good at running play action, it causes the safety to be a little bit late, and he gets him from the side rather than meeting him about 7 or 8 yards further back up field, and Brown is able to make that an explosive run. This is a staple now of this Louisville team who will run buck sweep action. Let's watch this. Watch both guards. Now, you'll notice that they send the wide receiver in motion, and they do this a lot. They'll run some pre-snap motion, and notice nobody on the defense runs with this wide receiver, indicating, oh, they're running zone defense back here. Nobody's really matched up on a man off the snap. And notice how they run the buck sweep, the inside sweep right here. That's a really nice play. And this is really well executed, save for that the backside guard, which he's supposed to pull and wrap right here. He's supposed to wrap to the backer, but he kind of blows this block right here. Watch it one more time. Nice job on the kick-out block. The play side guard gets the kick-out, and this guy's supposed to pull and wrap to get this linebacker, but they don't quite get him. But nonetheless, Brown's so strong, he's able to get an extra 2 or 3 yards off of that action. So nice job on the inside sweep. That's what they're going to do today, too, against the Mustangs. Watch the buck sweep. And this is why Brom is so good with quarterbacks. Miller Moss is a really good quarterback. One of his strengths is he can play action fake really nicely. Uses the play fake here. Everybody freezes. They run the deep over route to Chris Bell. Bell, who had 12 catches in the Miami game, comes in with 67 grabs in this SMU game and does a really nice job. That's a nice play-action fake right here by Miller Moss, who steps into this throw and the deep over route to Bell against the zone coverage. I thought this was a horse collar tackle, by the way. They didn't call it. But Chris Bell, quite a wide receiver as we go into the film room.
Question the refs on the film room here. What's going on over there?
Usually we wait till we go on the air to do
Absolutely. That's when we're supposed to do that because they're not listening at that point of the show.
That's right.
All right, this is
I know they're down in that referee room to look at the film room.
They're watching the show right now. It's
Right
live
now.
on Facebook. This is Mustang Game Day, brought to you by Origin Bank. Rich Phillips, Scott Garner with you here in the press box at Gerald J. Ford Stadium, where we're going to meet the enemy, the Louisville Cardinals.
You used to call Louisville games.
So I did, the Fighting Farmers. Also, way back when SMU first joined the American, Louisville was in the league that first
That's
year.
right. Yes, they were.
And I took a commercial flight up there for the basketball game against Louisville, and the flight attendant came on and said that our flight time was going to be 58 minutes to Louisville.
Well,
and we all looked around, and I was like, well, it's only on the other side of the lake over here, isn't it? That's a long,
it's a long flight. What kind of plane
flight.
is this?
Anyway, Louisville, 7-3, 4-3 in the ACC. They've lost their last 2. Boy, injuries are a huge issue for Louisville today. Their top 2 running backs, Isaac Brown and Kewan Brown, are out, and we don't know about Miller Moss.
No.
Their quarterback is a game-time decision here this afternoon.
Yeah, but their offensive line's so good at running pass protection, and we just saw in the film room about what they do in their pro-style offense. They'll go under center some. They'll run some I formation. I thought Jeff Brom did a great job last year in the second half of the game when we were up there, where he decided to just run it down our throats, running I formation, but for whatever reason they got out of that. I thought they did us a favor by getting out of it. We'll see how much they stay in it today, particularly if they don't have Moss in there at quarterback and they go with Deuce Adams. But Louisville, a team that only allowed 308 yards against Clemson. I was shocked to see that when they lost that game. They held Clemson. Now listen to this. Louisville held Clemson to 1 of 13 on third down conversions the other day. Cardinals hoping and holding the opposition about 31.7 on the conversion rate, and you look at that, that's 18th best in the country. They are fantastic there. But the last 4 games, Louisville's not turning teams over. They're not getting a lot of consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks. That'll help us out today for sure. And they're not giving up many drives, though, on defense, not at all. And I don't think I've heard this much about this week. The offense has thrown 2 pick sixes this year, and they've allowed 2 scoop and scores this year. But most of these losses, in fact, they've got 3 that have been a combined 7 points. But their D-line is fast. They're going to slant some. They're going to run odd front. They're going to bring a backer off the backside. But they have tremendous ball get off. They're probably the fastest D-line that we will have faced and maybe the best. And I can't believe I'm saying that given that T.J. Parker's so good with Clemson. But Clemson just hasn't done a whole lot defensively like they did last year. But they disguise a lot of blitzes, Louisville does. Clemson's had great success running they had great success running screen game against Louisville. That's been our bread and butter because, remember, we've had games where we can't run the football. We go to the screen game. That really helped Clemson last week. We're going to see some of that today.
So on the running back front, without the 2 Browns, Isaac and Kewan Brown, the rest of the team has run for 191 yards. And the bulk of it's been the guy who will start today, Duke Watson, only 122 yards. He's had trouble staying healthy. He's played in 6 games. Now, he did run for almost 600 yards as their number 2 back last season, but they got a huge loss without either one of the Browns playing in the backfield.
Watson had a bad fumble, too, in that Clemson game. They ran him some, and they really feel like it's because he doesn't practice that much and just hasn't done a whole lot. But remember, going into this season, he performed better than Isaac Brown at running back. He's pretty good.
And defensively, they're very good against the run. They were good last year, too, but I'm telling you, man, last season, SMU won their first ever ACC game here against Florida State. And we know what Florida State was. They weren't very good last year. They won 2 games. The next week, they went to Louisville. I believe Louisville was ranked 22nd in the country.
I believe that's right.
It was a national game, ESPN or ESPN2 that it was on. That's when the country was really introduced to Kevin Jennings. Remember, he had the long 55-yard touchdown run in the first half, and it was a hard-fought 34-27 win at Louisville. That's the game, I think, where this program started to take off and really launch them towards going to the ACC championship.
I thought it was 100% the biggest win in the regular season for the Mustangs, no question about it. This Louisville team is good, and they do it on third downs, but we were successful last year beating them on third downs. We won the game 34-27, but SMU was 5 for 11 on thirds, and this Louisville team much better in short yardage and much better this year on third and fourth down, so maybe a little bit more of a challenge today.
All right, my stat of the week this week is 26. That is the number of takeaways by the SMU defense this year, and that ranks first in the nation in total takeaways. They have 10 fumble recoveries. That's fourth most. They have 16 interceptions. That's also fourth most in the country. And thanks in large part to all these takeaways, SMU is, by the way, 5th in the nation in turnover margin. They're plus 11. But get this, Scott, 26 turnovers, nowhere near the school record, and I don't think that one's going to be approached anytime soon. In 1981, the SMU defense had 48 takeaways, and they only played 11 games that year.
Wow.
48 in 11 games.
You don't know the margin, do you, that year?
The turnover margin?
The turnover
No, I don't know that off the top of my head.
I just wonder if it plus 11, it's got to be close to a record.
Oh, has to be. The plus 11 this year?
Mm-hmm.
I would think the team that had 48
Might
takeaways
have had more.
because also that offense was really good back then.
Yeah.
They need 9 more takeaways to just crack the top 10 in school history in takeaways. The 16 interceptions are close to moving into the top 10. They're 2 away from that. I know this team gives up a lot of yards, especially in the passing game. They're right down near the bottom of the country in pass defense, which is by yards per game. But splash plays like sacks and takeaways make up for a whole lot of yards that you give up.
I know this. The last 3 games, we have 11 turnovers. We have generated 11 turnovers in 3 games. That is a boatload, and you're 100% right about that. We're making big-time plays. Ahmad Moses was the man with the plan last week. He was just everywhere.
I was going to say, Ahmad Moses has 4 of those takeaways in the last 2 weeks.
That's right.
2 interceptions, including the one that pretty much won the game in overtime against Miami, and 2 fumble recoveries last week. Let's get to our pick-up challenge here today, brought to you by Origin Bank, as we pick 5 games each week. And I don't think I'm going to be able to catch you, Scott, because I'm 6 games behind with only 2 weeks to go.
Going to be tough.
I'm going to pick all opposite of you if I'm going to catch you.
Well,
something tells me that won't do very well.
You're just fortunate that we had a mishap on the pregame show. That was going to be another 5-0 week for me, I'm sure.
Was it now? Was it?
No
we'll
way.
see. All right, first up this week at 11 o'clock. 22nd ranked Missouri is at number 8 Oklahoma. The Tigers are 7-3. The Sooners are 8-2. OU coming off 2 huge road wins at Alabama and Tennessee. Steve?
Yeah, the Sooners are flying pretty high after those 2, and a win today will not get them to the SEC championship game, but it will keep that hope alive. So Sooner fans are kind of worked into a frenzy. This game is at home. The Sooners are better at quarterback. The Sooners have better defense. The Sooners win today.
Well, OU's got 4 wins over top 25 teams this year. 4. They just beat number 4 Alabama. Their losses are to Texas and Ole Miss. Are they playing Ohio State today?
They're not.
Give me the Sooners.
Missouri running back Ahmad Brady does lead FBS with 1,346 yards on the ground, and how about nearly 1,000 of those yards have come after contact?
Wow.
But the OU defense is number 4 in the nation against the run, and I think they'll have a good day today. I'll also take Oklahoma. 2:30 this afternoon, number 15 USC is at number 7 Oregon. This is one of those classic Big Ten matchups we've watched for 2 years now, huh? It's a Pac-12 game is what we're seeing here. The Trojans are 8-2. The Ducks are 9-1. They are both still alive in the Big Ten championship hunt at 6-1. Of course, they got two undefeated teams that are ahead of them that are pretty good too. But big one here in the Big Ten today. Steve?
They are both still alive, but the Ducks are in better position to get to the college football playoff, and it's in Eugene. Yes, USC has had, as you said, an 8-2 good season, but it feels like the Ducks are more consistent, and I like the Ducks' defense better. Give me the Ducks.
Yeah, and USC was down 14-0 against Iowa. I was shocked by that. They came back to win it 26-21. Iowa doesn't blow 14-point leads very often. Oregon's been rolling. 500 yards of offense against Minnesota. They looked really, really good. Dante Moore was 27 of 30 in that game. That was a program record for a single game. 91% completion percentage going Ducks today.
I don't know that Iowa gets up by 14 too often.
I was going to say.
Don't they score about 14?
I can't believe they blew that lead.
Anyway, USC 0-2 on the road against ranked teams this year, and they haven't won in Eugene in 14 years, and they'll keep that going today. I'll take Oregon as well. Also at 2:30, Arkansas is at number 17, Texas. I'm sure this raised eyebrows with you, too, of why would Rich pick this game, because the Razorbacks are 2-8, and they're 0-6 in the SEC. The Longhorns are 7-3 and 4-2. But in the 6 conference losses Arkansas has this year, they have lost those 6 by a combined 25 points, all of them single digits. 5 of the 6 have been one-score games.
Yes.
Yeah, they're getting beat, but they're staying in every single game in the SEC.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The Hogs are better than their record indicates, but they're not a great team. And they're going to Austin, where there will be 100,000-plus fans who all think that the Longhorns are somehow entitled to a spot in the playoff. Texas has won ugly several times this year, and today should be ugly as well, but it'll be another ugly win for Texas. Give me the Horns.
That's a great way to put that. It really is. But see, this is why Rich is always bringing up good points, but the right points. This is my third bullet point right here. Of the 8 losses, 6 have been by fewer than 10 points.
Somebody said that.
Somebody said that. This game's going to be closer than you think, though. But it's down in Austin. Give me UT.
Arkansas is 13th in the nation in total offense. I'll go. Why not? Woo Pig Suey.
You're going Arkansas in this game?
Why not?
I thought you were trying to come back in this little contest here.
I'm not going to catch up kicking all the same games. And
that's true.
I don't trust Texas at all.
Okay.
I'll take Arkansas.
You trust Arkansas?
That's a different point. 2:30 today in the ACC. Duke is at North Carolina. The Blue Devils are 5-5. They're 4-2, and they're actually still in the hunt in the ACC championship race, believe it or not. The Tar Heels are not. They're 4-6. They're 2-4 in the league. North Carolina has won back-to-back ACC games before falling to Wake last week. This is the 77th battle for the Victory Bell. Y'all ever heard of that?
No.
Okay.
Not once.
I hadn't either. It's the 77th one, a trophy they played for since 1948, and it's the 112th meeting between Duke and North Carolina, Steve.
This game would be pretty fascinating if they were playing 5-on-5 in Cameron Indoor Arena or in the Dean Dome. Duke's good, not great. Carolina's had a very down year with a lot of drama and soap opera around the new coach and everything else that's gone on in Chapel Hill. And more than anything, as you said, Duke is still playing for a shot at the conference title game, and Mensa's a pretty good quarterback. Give me the Blue Devils.
Yeah, Duke is just simply better. They're very inconsistent, though. Mensa only threw for 200 yards against Virginia, but he usually torches teams like North Carolina. Duke, being on the road, kind of muddies the water a little bit, but I'm going to still go with the Blue Devils.
Duke quarterback Darian Mensa, despite inconsistencies, he is third in the nation in passing yards and passing touchdowns. North Carolina's Gio Lopez, 103rd and 108th in those two categories.
Is that good?
No, it's not.
Pretty big disparity there.
If you're playing at the Naval Academy and you hand it off all the time, it's just fine.
Just playing at the wrong school is what you're saying.
Exactly. I'll take Duke in this one. And at 6 o'clock tonight, a game we talked about earlier that's important for SMU in their race to get back to the ACC championship game. Pitt is at 16th-ranked Georgia Tech. The Panthers are 7-3. The Yellow Jackets are 9-1. Each team has one loss in conference play. Georgia Tech, they nearly spit the bit for us last week at Boston College, 1 week after they did spit the bit at North Carolina State.
Everyone who is affiliated with SMU in any way is rooting for the Panthers today. And they got better when they made a quarterback change. They also got outrushed by 150 yards by Notre Dame last week, and Georgia Tech does run the ball pretty well. As you said, Georgia Tech is in the driver's seat for a spot in Charlotte in the championship game, and the game's being played at home. Yellow Jackets win.
Now, this is a matchup of two really solid quarterbacks, though, but not elite quarterbacks. But Haynes King, his decision-making is elite, and that's because he's a coach's son. King can also run the football, but his dad, longtime head coach for Longview High School, John King, I'm sure he'll be there today, and that's where he gets his smarts. But King led Longview to the finals. They win the state title. They go 16-0 his senior year. And my point in all of that is King is simply a winner. And as much as it pains me to say this, I think Georgia Tech wins this game, and I hope the Mustangs win this one because it's going to make that game tonight really juicy.
And, yeah, Haynes King, by the way, he has engineered the #1 offense in the nation. They gain almost 500 per game. Georgia Tech does. I will take the Yellow Jackets as well, but I'll be rooting for the Panthers tonight. Special thanks to our friends at Origin Bank that sponsor the Mustang Game Day show each week. Origin Bank knows what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at Origin.bank, member FDIC. All right, it's SMU and Louisville at 11 o'clock today. We'll have it on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, as well as the SMU app and SiriusXM Channel 193. Our pregame show starts at 10:30, and I certainly encourage you to join us because we will talk to the Mustangs' backup place kicker. It's also one of their offensive players, Stone Eby, who barefoot kicked an extra point last week.
I've never seen you so excited about a pregame interview like I've seen you today.
He's the best. He's the longest interview we've had on the pregame show this year, more than 5 minutes, and he's great. Good kid, has new dad as well, so he's a good dude. And his teammates, a couple weeks ago on our coaches show, we asked Alexander Kilgore, if you're stranded on a desert island, which teammate, and Bree couldn't finish the sentence because he said Stone Eby is who he takes with him on the
that says a lot.
Well, because Stone can help forage for food.
Okay.
Yeah, trust me. He'll talk about that.
But will he share it?
That is a fair question, Steve. Very fair question. All right, let's get to our final keys here for success today for the Mustangs.
Okay, well, you got to win third down today. To do that, you got to win first down because you want third and short if you do have to overcome a third down. But Louisville's 18th in the country at stopping teams on third down. They only allow 32% conversion rate. SMU against Boston College had their best conversion rate of the season on third down. They were 8 of 14. But the two previous games going into that Boston College game, SMU was just 23%, 7 of 30. Third down is very important. It proved to be very important in the Louisville game last year on the road. SMU was 5 of 11 on third downs against the Cardinals in 2024, and that's why they won 34-27. Got to win third down today. Key number 2 for the Mustang, hey, let's run downhill on those inside zone runs. This is going to be the fastest defensive front that we will have faced this year. They're not big, but they're really, really fast. They're very athletic. They have a good ball get off. SMU specializes on inside zone runs. Let's get that run game going early today, and if you can, you've got a chance to hit our third key, and that's to start well, because after 2 losses in a row with personnel issues, Louisville may not have their quarterback Miller Moss. Their top 2 running backs are probably not going to play today. If you can get out front early, you may be able to take the fight out of the Cardinals as they have to go on the road again. So those are the 3 keys for the Mustangs. You have to win third down. You want to run downhill on those inside zone runs. We've been doing a good job of that lately. And you want a fast start today.
That'll do it here for our Mustang Game Day show presented by Origin Bank. We do this every week 2 hours before kickoff, so we'll be back with you next week from Berkeley, California for the regular season finale. 10:30 pregame on the radio side, 11 o'clock for the kick today between SMU and Louisville. For Scott, Steve, and for John Smith, our engineer, I'm Rich Phillips. Thanks for joining us here on a Mustang Game Day show presented by Origin Bank.